So I wanted to do a video earlier for Mother's Day, and I found myself pretty sick without a voice, so that would have been hard to do. So it's 2 days after Mother's Day. It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday, yes. And I just wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to all those people out there that are mothers, and those women who act as mothers for others who don't have mothers in many and varied ways are so appreciated. I know they are in my own life. I was very close with my mother, and one of the qualities that my mother had that I believe that I would like to emulate and to incorporate more fully into my life is the one of resilience. And resilience is something we hear a lot these days about being able to be, some people think it's about being strong and being able to live with what God has given us, whatever the case might be. But I'm reminded of Brene Brown in her book, Rising Strong. At one point she writes that there is an insatiable appetite for comfort and happiness that does not reconcile with who we are as people. I believe what she's trying to say, and I agree, is that all of us want to be comfortable and happy. I mean, that's a human thing, but that really isn't life. There are times when we are down. There are times where we're disappointed. There's times where we don't meet our goals. There's times where we want to give up. And Brene Brown talks a lot about showing up, just being there in presence for other people sometimes. And for me, my experience of my mother was that she was extremely resilient. She had to become she was a widow at 43 years old. She lost her son, and she lost many family members. She cared for many family members, and she had a lot of loss in her life. And she always handled it with what I used to call dignity. And I used to think, oh, she never cries and all that. But she had her time when she would go off on her own and do the mourning or whatever it is she had to do for herself. But she allowed this connection with higher power, God, Jesus, love, whatever we want to call it, to permeate her heart and allow wisdom to come forth, which made her very strong. And her strongest quality was her quietness, that she just was. She just sat in whatever was given to her. And she learned in doing that her life became more peaceful. And that was her act of courage. And I want to share one thing. My mother was one of 13 children. Very Irish Catholic family. Her father was a principal of a school, and her mother raised children. And everyone was very successful and very educated. My mother was the only one without a college degree. I never knew that for many, many years. And I think there was some shame involved with that for her. I think she wished she would have gotten a college education, but she didn't. But this year, my family and I put together a scholarship fund at Marywood University for a student who is in need, and it's a $50,000 endowment scholarship. And I like to, I'm reaching for it, the thing, I don't know whether it'll show up here, but this is for the Kane Family Scholarship Program that was set up on behalf of all my mother and her family and my grandparents because of their commitment to education. And in my heart, what moved me most was that when I went up to get that plaque, that I felt like my mother got a diploma and that she was a college graduate. In these days when life is so tough and we don't know what people are going through, a spirit of resilience is something we can learn from others. In my life, I have to say that I've learned that, and some guys would argue with me on this, but I find it in women to be very strong. And I have so many women in my own life that have showed me what resilience is. I have also had another aunt who had Parkinson's. She got up every single day and went to her job. She never missed a day. And it was that spirit of just showing up, being courageous, and allowing God to do for her what she couldn't do for herself. And that's pretty much how my mother lived her life. One of simplicity, but also one of complex integrity, which led her to many, many good places in people's hearts. And so to this day, whether it's a mechanic or a person at a grocery store or somewhere, somebody had met my mother and knew her because she cared about other people, because that's who she was called to be. In her weakness, in her vulnerability, and in her resilience, that's what she did. She reached out to others. So happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day. And I want to say that I'm going to continue some of these, and I'm going to do a segment on grief and grief acceptance and accommodation coming up in the next couple weeks, hopefully by next Wednesday. So I hope you all look for it, and I appreciate you listening. If you like it, click like. If you want to subscribe, that's even better. Click subscribe. Thank you, and happy Mother's Day to all those mothers.